Hello, I'm Sam from Cultaholic.com, and this is Graded for NXT, NXT UK and 205 Live, where myself and Tom Campbell take a look at each show segment by segment and award each little bit a grade from A+ to F. Now, it's a very special week this week. Not only do we have the regular 205 Live and NXT UK output, but NXT is going live. It's going live on the USA Network, and it's going to 2 hours. So apologies if Graded gets a little bit longer from now on, but 2 hours, you know, lot to take in. So without any further ado, hit the intro. And we kick things off as we always do with 205 Live, and we go straight to the ring for Lince Dorado versus Ariya Daivari. Lince, of course, looking for a little bit of that revenge in this one against Daivari, who came out and just sort of attacked him and made that weird main event last week. Lince starts this one off hot, able to hit all sorts of stuff outside the ring before they get back in the ring and Daivari gets a chance to shine. He throws Lince to the outside. Lince lands awkwardly and he sort of injured his knee. Things then go very back and forth. It's pretty much in line with what we've seen these guys do before, but Lince manages to hulk up and hit a whole bunch of lucha offense. Eventually though, Lince goes for the triple moonsaults. Daivari manages to escape. We get sort of pin attempt after pin attempt after pin attempt, and then while it looks like Daivari's about to go for like a superplex, Lince pushes him back into the ring, hits the SSP and picks up the win. Now this one gets a C+. It's supposed to be a grudge match. Daivari's been trying desperately to tear Lince away from his brothers, and it's all been horrible, and he attacked him last week, but it just felt really run-of-the-mill. There was a little bit of aggression early on, but it just sort of fizzled out into a regular match. There are two backstage promos tonight, so I'm going to lump them into one little bit right now. One is with Oney Lorcan, one is with Humberto Carrillo, and essentially Lorcan says that he's going to, you know, make Tony Nese pay and then go on and take the belt off Gulak, and Humberto's like, you know, I didn't win the belt and I've let myself down, but, you know, I'm going to go back and I'm going to win it. I will win that belt. But we go back to the ring for Jack Gallagher versus Brian Kendrick with Akira Tozawa. So as they're coming to the ring, we get a little bit of like a picture-in-picture promo from Kendrick, and it's a little bit heely, sort of like, I'm going to set things right. This one starts off fairly technical, then the speed comes in, there's a lot of reversals, it's quite exciting. And then things spill to the outside, and Gallagher's on the outside. He sort of gets into it a little bit with Tozawa, and while they're sort of staring each other down, and Gallagher's like, go to the back, what are you even doing here? Kendrick sneaks up from behind with a kendo stick and nails him with it. Match thrown out. So Kendrick drags him back into the ring and is just wailing on him with this kendo stick. Tozawa gets, and he's like, what are you doing, mate? No, stop it. Grabs the kendo stick, throws it out the ring, is tending to Gallagher. Out goes Kendrick as if he's going to peel off to the back. Nope. Grabs the kendo stick and then beats Tozawa with it. Brian Kendrick has fully turned heel. This one gets a B. The heel turn is fully complete. I love heel Kendrick, although I am a little bit worried that 205 is going to run out of sort of main baby faces soon. And tonight's main event is Oney Lorcan versus Tony Nese. Heel Nese is back. In his entrance, he's on the apron, like wiggling his pecs. I can't do it because I've not got any pecs. But once the match is underway, Lorcan quickly grounds him and is just going at him, really angry, laying in that aggression. Nese overcomes though. He drives him into barricades, he puts him through an announce table, and then Lorcan just gets back in. It's like 9.999, just gets in the ring. Lorcan tries to fight back, but Nese chops him in the throat. It sounded awful. It just reverberated around the arena, and then he garrots him on the top rope. This only enrages Lorcan because, as we know, he's absolutely pissing mental, and then things spill to the outside and he takes Nese like round the barricades, just bang 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 like every single corner. Eventually though, it looks like Lorcan's going to go for that top rope half and half, but Nese falls to the floor, and then Lorcan looks at him and he's like, well, I'm going to hit a dive. When he goes to bounce off the ropes on the far side of the ring, Gulak trips him. This allows Nese to capitalize and roll up for the 3. This one gets a B+, by far and away the best match on 205 Live this week. I absolutely love heel Nese, but I love crazy angry Lorcan 1,000 times more. If this keeps going, this feud is going to end in a horribly violent match. Overall, 205 Live this week gets a B-. There was a lot of storyline development going on here, with the Kendrick heel turn being the cherry on top. Is he going to rejoin Gulak? Is he going to jump in with that crowd? Is he going to start his own faction? Is he going to be a lone wolf? Only time will tell. And now I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Campbell, who's going to take you through this week's episode of NXT UK.
This is not your finest hour, Belinda. Hi, there's Jack as well. We're handcuffed together for 24 hours because we are rubbish at predictions. So we have a British rounds match on NXT UK this week between Sid Scala and Cassius Ohno. I am very intrigued to see how the live crowd react to something like a British rounds match. A World of Sport match, but we can't call it that. But we kick off with Travis Banks taking on Tyson T-Bone. This is really about like the redemption of Travis Banks. T-Bone puts up a fight, but eventually it's Banks that beats him 1-2-3 with a roll-up of all things. He tried a couple of times the slice of heaven, couldn't get it, and it was a roll-up off a suplex that got the win. This was a C+ for me. Wasn't the most exciting of matches, but it told the story of like Travis Banks getting back into winning ways. Fresh from showing up the NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley is back on NXT UK, this time facing one half of the woke queens, Debbie Keitel. Keitel gets like 2 slaps in this before she gets hit with a riptide, 1, 2, 3, and done. Rhea Ripley asserts herself, saying that she wants to be the NXT Women's Champion again. This brings out Ginny and Jazzy Gabbert. Gabbert gets in the face of Rhea and gets a kick in the face for it. Overall, this bit again, it's a C+. It was quite an average promo after a squash match, but it certainly asserts Rhea Ripley back into the women's division in NXT UK. Trent Seven is shown arriving into the arena with Noam Dar following behind him on a megaphone calling him a dafty. They nearly get into a fight, and Travis Banks calls Noam Dar a prat as he's dragged away. It's nice to hear prat on the WWE network. I think if they let these two have a match, it might surprise you. They might put together something special if they do. Joseph Connors takes on a very smiley Kenny Williams in our next match. Kenny's momentum is cut off immediately. Shush! Cut off immediately by Joseph Connors shaking the ropes when Kenny goes for a springboard. Kenny doesn't get back into the match really from this point. Connors hits a don't look down for the 1, 2, 3. This is a C+ as well. It's a C+ heavy show. Connors, very much like Travis Banks, starting to build a winning streak now, which is nice to see. So after a promo hyping Oliver Carter for next week, we get a bit of NXT UK admin. In 2 weeks' time, Kay Ray is going to be defending her women's championship against Welsh girl Tegan Knox. I thought it's a bit too soon to have Knox versus Kay Ray, but then, you know, it's a hot Welsh crowd and it's a hot Welsh wrestler, so it kind of makes sense to do that match now.
Stop doing that, man.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Alright, fair enough. Also, we find out next week, and I told you this is going to be a thing, and it's going to be a good one. Trent Seven goes one-on-one with Noam Dar. I think they could assemble a good one, and it's in the main event next week.
I'm excited for that, Tom.
Shush!
Sorry.
It's time for our main event, and it's a British rounds match, World of Sport match, between Sid Scala and Cassius Ohno. And you know what? I was nervous about this one, how it would go down with the live crowd, but they ate up every second of it. The crowd were really into it. And you know what? Ohno and Scala, they pulled out a blinder. This was a well-paced, technically proficient match. Ohno picked up a fall in the 3rd round, and Scala just couldn't get back into it. In the dying seconds of the final round, Scala goes for a backslide. He gets it. The referee counts 1, 2, bell sounds as the ref's hand is there. Like there. Oh, it was perfectly done. And it meant that Cassius Ohno wins the British rounds match. I'm giving this main event this week an A. It was a well put together, old school wrestling match, told well by 2 great wrestlers. The commentary from Nigel McGuinness and Vic Joseph was absolutely perfect, and the crowd were white hot. This was great. It's an easy A. Overall this week, NXT UK gets a B- from me. I thought it was a lot of good, not great stuff, but the main event certainly picked the momentum up. I'm intrigued by next week to see Trent Seven taking on Noam Dar. Should be a good fun one, that one. We will see. Right, Mr. Driver is on his way back. Oh, mate! He's on his way back, so we'll hand you over to him for NXT from off of America. It's a big one this week. I love you, bye.
Thanks for that, Tom. And now we move on to the momentous occasion, the first ever live episode of NXT on the USA Network. This is the first shot in the Wednesday Night Wars, and it opens with Triple H delivering a promo about what NXT is. It's no fuss, it's everything you want if you're a wrestling fan, and then it's revealed that it's not a pre-recorded package at all. He walks through to a live crowd at Full Sail, and it's just, the atmosphere's electric, everything looked great. It just felt like classic Vince. It was cool. It was really cool. And how else better to kick off the first ever live episode of NXT than the women's #1 contendership Fatal 4-Way, which pits Io Shirai against Bianca Belair against Mia Yim against Candice LeRae. This one is hard to keep track of. It's mental, so I'm going to do my best at just covering as much crazy stuff as I can. So Candice goes straight for Io, but Belair tackles her, and then Yim gets in to take it to Belair, and then Io comes back in to clean house. There's a lot of insanity on the outside, culminating in Io hitting a huge moonsault to the floor. There's a massive Tower of Doom. There's this moment where Bianca Belair gets Candice LeRae in like a reverse Alabama slam face first into the corner. And then there's a moment where it looks like Bianca Belair is going to have the match won with the KOD, only for Mia Yim to hit her with the Protect Your Neck. And then after the absolute levels of insanity that this match takes you through, we reach the end when Io goes for a moonsault, only for Mia Yim to push her off the turnbuckle, where she sort of crossbodies Bianca Belair when she hits the floor. Yim then attempts to get Candice into an electric chair position, only for Candice to reverse it with a poison Rana and then hit a springboard moonsault to pick up the 3. Candice LeRae is the #1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship. And as Mauro says, hip hip LeRae. But as Candice is celebrating on the ramp, who else comes out but Shayna and the Horsewomen? They stare down, and this one gets an A. Of all the matches they could have opened with, this was utterly perfect. The pace, the aggression, everybody looked like $1 million. Like everybody's just hanging on. Everybody had a credible reason to win as well. It was just so good. Kept you second guessing. Amazing. Utterly amazing. We then keep it at the ring for Sean Maluta versus Cameron Grimes. And this one goes, Bell, charging double stomp, Bell. Cameron Grimes wins. It gets a C because it's a massive squash, but it makes sense and it gives credence to Cameron Grimes starting at the very bottom and moving his way up the ladder rung by rung. And then to close out the first hour of NXT this week, we have Roderick Strong against Velveteen Dream for the NXT North American Championship. Bell rings and Roddy is straight on Dream, with Dream just managing to keep his distance. And then things quickly spill to the floor, with Roddy planting Dream spine first onto the barricade, and this becomes a key thing in the match. Dream's back is knackered. No matter how much Roddy does work the spine over, though, at least in the initial phases, Dream is able to hulk up and overcome. Dream connects with the Dream DT, which looked as slick as you can imagine, and then Roddy hits a running high knee that Mauro refers to as a V-trigger. Can somebody let me know below? Like, I don't think I've ever heard it being referred to in WWE as a V-trigger. It made me go like, whoa. He then traps Dream in the ropes, he hits a pendulum backbreaker, and he just starts working over the spine again. He hits a Dragon Bomb and then locks in the stronghold, and Dream is so desperately trying to reach the ropes, he's being walked all the way around the ring, just manages to get the break. The rest of the era then emerge, and they come down to ringside, and just as Dream's hulking up, there's a ref bump. Of course, there's a ref bump. Dream hits the Dream Valley driver, but the ref's out. He can't pin Roddy, and the era start to try and interfere. This allows Roddy to hit the end of Heartache, and that looks like it's done. Ref goes for the count. 1, 2, Dream kicks out. Everybody goes mental. Dream then hits another Dream Valley driver and then starts climbing the ropes, but while the ref has his back turned, Adam Cole nails him with a super kick. This allows Roddy to once again hit an end of Heartache, and he picks up the 3. Roderick Strong is the new NXT North American champion, and the prophecy has been fulfilled. The Undisputed Era are draped in gold. This match gets an A+. How could it not? How could it get anything but an A+? This is one of those matches where if somebody says like, okay, show me that wrestling's good, like show me a match that will get me into wrestling, this is a match you could show somebody. It had a bit of everything. The drama, the pace, the action, the interference. It was just NXT to a T. It was everything that NXT's about, and it was so well executed. And then we go to the top of the second hour, and it's Pete Dunne versus Arturo Ruas. This one's super technical and very back and forth. Ruas is taking a lot of punishment, but he's able to get back up and just keep going. Like Dunne does that elbow stomp thing that usually just wipes people out, and he's like, nope, and cracks on. It's a fairly quick affair though, and Dunne catches Ruas into a triangle before transitioning and snapping the fingers, only for Ruas to hesitate before tapping, and Pete Dunne picks up the win via broken fingers. This one gets a B-. It was great to see someone like Ruas get a strong showing against somebody as established as Dunn. And Dunn looks like a monster once again, building his credibility match by match until I imagine he's going to take on Roddy for the North American belt, because they got some history, don't they? We then keep it in the ring, and it's Xia Li versus Ariya with Vanessa Bourne at ringside. Li gets off to a very strong start, managing to overcome everything Ariya throws at her with a martial arts style of offense. There is an awkward fall quite early on though from the top rope, where Li sort of tries to springboard herself backwards up to like the top rope. She catches her shins and just falls forward. It looks like she managed to recover it. She didn't seem to be hurt, thank God, because it could have gone really, really badly. But quite surprisingly, Li just cleans up from this point. She hits the tornado kick and picks up the win. This one gets a C. Ariya didn't really get much in. It was squash-like. I'm just glad that Li got a really strong showing. We've seen her sort of develop match by match. Every single time she's been on TV, she's just getting better and stronger and more confident in her style, and it's nice to see her pick up like quite a notable win against Ariya here. We then go back to the ring for Denzel DeJournette versus Kushida, and we all know how this one's gonna go, or do we? So out comes Eichner, out comes Bartel, out comes Wolf from the crowd, and they have Denzel's life. They make quick work of him, they throw him to the outside, they turn to the entrance ramp, put their hands behind their backs, and out comes Walter. Walter has debuted in NXT. Down comes Walter, he gets in the ring, he gets on the stick, and he says that Imperium are here to restore the honor and the tradition of pro wrestling, and anybody that gets in the way, well, they'll have to answer to the ring general. He begins to cut a promo in German, which I love. I love when they let foreign heels use their own tongue, and then out comes Kushida. There's a bit of back and forth with Kushida getting in the ring and taking care of Imperium, and then they sort of like again back up the ramp and staring at each other, and commentary are really hyping this potential matchup. I really can't wait to see this match. This one gets an A. I really can't wait to see the match, as I just said, and I can't wait to see what Imperium are going to do to NXT. And then we go back to the ring for a #1 contendership match for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, pitting Oney Lorcan against a returning Lio Rush. So the stipulation doesn't really quite make sense in the land of 205, but who cares? Lio Rush is back. Lorcan starts off like a monster with those huge uppercuts, and he hits a blockbuster, but then Rush follows up with triple dives to the outside. Back in the ring though, Lorcan's traditional style comes into play, and he knows to take away the legs of a high flyer. He starts going after Rush's legs, and this again becomes a theme throughout the match. While Rush fights back, Lorcan goes for a single leg crab, and he gets the angle all horrible and it looks nasty. But then Rush proves how wily he really is. Lorcan goes to throw him into the ropes. He does that weird springboard arse bounce backwards stunner thing, and the crowd go wild. And then Lorcan really doubles down with a single leg crab and transitions it to like an adapted STF, and it looked awful. It looked absolutely awful. But then Rush is able to capitalize. He hits a Spanish fly into a Dragon's Call, and he wins. Lio Rush is the #1 contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. This one gets a B+. Here's hoping that Lio Rush has been able to sort himself out of the ring, because he's such a good competitor once he's in it. Lorcan still looks strong, and, you know, hopefully we've got Rush back across both NXT and 205 Live, because I can't wait to hear him running his mouth again. He's so good on the mic. And then we go back to the ring for tonight's main event, which is Matt Riddle versus Killian Dane in a street fight. Dane gets the jump on Riddle to start things, but then Riddle's able to show off some of that power. He even manages to deadlift German Dane straight over his head, like 300+ pounds. That's crazy. On the outside, Riddle manages to avoid a kendo stick, only to grab it and start nailing Dane with it. They then brawl into the crowd, and Dane hits a senton on Riddle onto the concrete, and then they brawl backstage. They then brawl through to the Satruk area, and this is where we see a lot of wrestlers just milling around, because it's just backstage. There's the Forgotten Sons, who are watching the match go on through the curtain, and then there's Walter, who's being interviewed, and this is where things get interesting. So while the pair are brawling, they disturb a Walter interview. The interviewer runs off. Walter's like, "What's going on? I can't believe this," stands up and goes straight for Riddle, starts choking him out, and then Imperium come rushing in, everybody joins in, the Sons come in, the Street Profits come in, the entire locker room's there, Pete Dunne's there, everybody's there, and it just turns into an absolute brawl. Through all of this, Dane and Riddle are able to reconnect, and they head toward the ring. The only problem is they have brought the entire brawling locker room with them. But then once back in the ring, security jump in and are like, "No, stop it, stop the fight." They're trying to like break up the two guys who are actually in the ring trying to have the match. They're not trying to break up the brawling people on the outside. So it felt a bit weird. Like, they're having a street fight. You can't stop a street fight. But I understand they're trying to sell this whole idea that it's all broken down and they don't want anything like this happening on their first episode on live TV. They shake off security. There's this huge brawl. Everybody's fighting. Dane hits this massive dive to everybody on the outside, and we go off air in classic Nitro style with everything having broken down. This one gets a B+ for the fun and the excitement of it. It would have got an A-, but I just felt the security thing was just a little bit weird. And I love the idea, you know, you have that whole backstage thing. I love like seeing the ecosystem of it. There's just people milling around backstage, checking out other people's matches, being interviewed. It felt like, you know, everybody's got their own thing going on, which is something that NXT is very good at. But at the same time, I sort of just wanted to see one-on-one brutality. I don't know, I'm in two minds about it. And in terms of an overall grade for NXT this week, the show gets an A. They knew that they had to bring it for the first show. They brought it, they dropped it on the table, they set the table on fire, threw it over, and the entire building's burning down. They've done such a good job. Overall, it was a really well-structured, well-paced show, and I hope that this momentum can keep up as we move into the Wednesday Night Wars. But what did you guys think about this week's episodes? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you like what we do here at Cultaholic, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And no matter what you do, don't ever forget to hit subscribe and join us.